Hey everybody, this is Craig Garber. Welcome to Everyone Loves Guitar. Man, we have a very fun guest today, super talented guy with Mike Krompass, who's got I love his last name, and a couple of, that's an inside joke. I just want to make a couple of announcements. One, I want to thank Derry Graham from Honeymoon Suite for connecting us. Thanks, Derry. I appreciate it. And also make sure you go to everyonelovesguitar.com/subscribe to subscribe to the audio and video of the podcast. If you're watching us on video, hit the subscribe button on YouTube with the little emoji icon that looks like a bell. That helps us get recommended by YouTube. And thanks for your support. All right, Mike Krompass, producer, songwriter, mixer, engineer, multi-instrumentalist, and this guy is a killer guitar player. He's produced, engineered, mixed, written, and played on many top charting Billboard hits, selling in excess of millions of units worldwide. He's multinational, dual Canadian, UK citizen, originally from Toronto, then LA. Now he lives in Yorkshire, England with his wife and children, working out of their studio, which is called The Manor. Mike's collaborated with Kelsea Ballerini, Steven Tyler, Mutt Lange, Desmond Child, Smash Mouth, Nelly Furtado, Theory of a Dead Man. I'm going to mess this up. I know the guy. David Archuleta.
That's right.
Jordan Knight from New Kids on the Block. Cassidy Pope. He's done work with Disney, Nickelodeon. He's worked with Jennifer Page, Honeymoon Suite, of course, Robbie Neville, Natasha Bedingfield, Hayden Panettiere, and others. This is just like a who's who. His music has been featured in hundreds of major motion picture soundtracks and television shows syndicated worldwide. He began his career in Canada, in Toronto, as a top studio and live session guitar player and an MD. As a guitar player, he's performed with Nelly Furtado, Edwin, Elton John, and others. He's appeared on major network TV shows like American Idol, SNL, David Letterman, Rosie. What was that like?
It was super cool.
Was it really?
Most of those shows aren't even in syndication anymore, right?
I know. That's why I thought of Rosie. It's a long time. Wendy Williams, live with Regis and Kelly, Jay Leno, Top of the Pops, and Bill O'Grady. While playing guitar, Mike was also the music director of American Idol David Archuleta, Demi Lovato tour, as well as Smash Mouth, and now has a new project, which we'll talk about, called Dead Romantic. Did Shawn Horowitz take your place in Smash Mouth?
There's a funny story about Shawn. Shawn's a friend of mine, great player and great dude. But the last, I don't know if it's the very last Smash Mouth record now, but the album Magic, which kind of did magically nothing, that album that I that I produced and wrote. Shawn was in the band when I came in to write that record. So I wrote a lot of that record with Steve and some writers like Shelley Peiken and Andrew Fromm and some really great writers. So while we were writing that record, Steve from Smash Mouth was like, "Hey, dude, you got to be in the band, man. You got to be in the band. Like, you got to fucking come shred with me, man. We'll play Van Halen tunes." He likes Van Halen. And we actually did Van Halen tunes. And I think Shawn had the gig, or he was in the phase of auditioning for that band, or had done some shows, and for whatever reason, Steve made a switch and had me do it. But when I left the band several years later, Shawn came back. So I think Shawn's now doing it. But they've been through so many guitar players, and Greg Camp is like the guy, and he wrote all the songs, and he's the magical guitar player for that band. And I don't think there's going to be a guy that's as good as Shawn is, or anyone else that's done that gig. He is that sound, and I think that he's the one.
Yeah, I get it. I'm just noticing your room, man. That's like you couldn't get one more instrument behind you.
Oh no,
that's the perfect corner to do an interview. Holy smokes! Oh my God, look at all those amps. Wow, that's the Manor, huh?
Yeah, I'll have to give you the tour one of these days.
Part of it. Yeah, that's an awesome studio, man. Hey, thanks for coming on the show. I appreciate it. You're funny as hell, man. I know this is going to be,
Thanks for having me.
I may not even be able to look at you at some points because I start laughing so hard. You started playing guitar at a young age. Did you come from a musical family?
Not really. No. Well, I've heard stories that my Nana used to entertain the troops and for the war in England here. So, but no, not really. I mean, my stepdad was a drummer, but no one in my immediate family was really a musician. I think my mom wanted to play acoustic guitar, And my birth father passed away. Really, like there was several pictures I saw of him with an acoustic guitar, but he couldn't play at all. He just loved Elvis, and so maybe I got like the desire part I inherited. And
yeah, that's totally.
Yeah.
So you just
really.
you just wanted, like, what motivated you to play guitar?
I have no idea. I was probably about 4, and there was a
Holy shit.
acoustic guitar in my neighbor's garbage, and I'd seen it there, and it was battered and probably had 1 or 2 strings, maybe 3 strings on it. And I took it home. My mom thought I was fucking crazy. And then what I would do is I would draw these little tickets, like, hey, come, concert tickets. And I had some stupid band name like Ghost Tigers or something, 25 cents. Come and see my band. And I'd hand them out around the neighborhood. I had no idea what the fuck I was doing. I couldn't play at all. But I would hand these tickets out to the whole neighborhood and like try to sell these tickets to come and see me on the driveway or in the garage.
That's cool.
And sing Beatles songs and Van Halen songs and try to, do something I had no idea I was doing. But it was always as far as I can remember, it was always there. And then I saw the Jackson tour, Michael Jackson. It was like the Victory tour. I think it was like 1985 or something. And I watched the whole tour as a little kid on my mom's shoulders. And I think Jennifer Batten was playing.
Yeah, it was.
I just remember seeing a guitar player going, I want to do that. I want to play with Michael Jackson. So
yeah. She was her hair, every picture you ever see of her, and I had her on the show. I think we talked about it, but she was like, her hair was like a separate entity during that show. It was so big. And
dude, I just remember her as the hair and that.
Yeah.
And I was obsessed with Michael Jackson when I was a little kid. Like I had the glove and the fucking hat and the jacket and did breakdancing and walking. My mom thought I was probably fucking ridiculous, but so I was like, anyone who gets to play with Mike, that's my end. I'm gonna play guitar.
Very cool.
Never happened.
So how did what's that? What was the last
Oriente? So.
Yeah, right. She did. How did you? How did you get started in the music business then? And how did you move from playing to behind the glass?
Probably, I mean, I guess, during growing up, I grew up in Toronto. So growing up there, I was playing in cover bands and, playing in every band, in every situation that I could put myself in, I wanted to do, whether that be top 40 bands or a jam night here, or any kind of gig that I could get, I would do it because I wanted to expand my vocabulary. And that thing would lead to like sessions and that would have me in the studio. And I also wrote music. So I wanted to always have my own rock band. And then I realized how fucking expensive it is when you want to go record music and have a band. Like you got to book a studio, you got to pay for a producer, you got to have, and I'm like, man, I really need to learn my shit. So, cause I need to learn some stuff so I can go to a studio and I don't have to pay for this and I can start knowing more about what I'm doing. And I think that's how it started. And then I got to produce a record when I was 15 or 16 was like one of the records I got to produce. And
how did that come about?
I think it was just someone I was playing with that was doing a record, and the artist's husband at the time was like, hey, you have some knowledge of this. Why don't you come and produce it with me? And then I started doing it, and then they were like, oh, you should just produce a record, and then that's how it started. And then I ended up playing drums on it and playing every instrument on it. And so that was my first I should probably do more of this because this is really fun. And I get to learn a lot this way.
Where'd you get your hustle from, man? Because that's a lot of ambition and drive.
That's what we have to do when we're in Canada. I guess we're fucking all we're all in igloos and no. It's like there's a lot of serious talent in Toronto, and I think it's like if you don't hustle, you're not going to get the gigs. And I think it's more the love. I just want to do it, and I want to be in it. And we all go through moments where we don't give a fuck, and we want to put our guitar down, and we see someone that blows us away, and we're like, oh my god, I'm going to quit. But it's just the love of it that keeps the hustle going, I guess.
So you were so passionate about making music, basically.
Yeah, I just love it. And I couldn't see myself doing anything much other than in the music space.
Yeah, because but you have to be a hustler. I mean, you have to have a lot of drive on top of that, because I mean, you moved to England because you wanted to be part of that music scene there. It's not like, you know, moving to Buffalo from Toronto, you know what I'm saying? Or from LA or whatever, you know, that's a massive move.
Yeah. I mean, well, the first one was from Toronto to LA when I was like 23 or something. So that was a big one. I guess I just have it in me where it's like, I want to just do it all. And you only live once. I wanted, since being a little kid, I wanted to live in England, but you know, got to go to Hollywood for music, got to do Nashville, got to do. So
Right.
I just, you know, I guess I made a plan. It's like, go to LA and get in the scene there. And then I was attracted to the songwriting thing in Nashville. So when LA kind of got oversaturated and, you know, I felt like I had done what I could do there, I made a switch to Nashville and I tried that. But my passion was always like, I wanted to be in Britain, and my mom's from Manchester and
Okay.
I love music. And so, you know, I've got my citizenship through my mother, and
Right.
and since being a little kid, I'm obsessed with castles and countryside and all of that. So I'm like, let's bring the kids there and live there and have them go to good schools and not be, you know, not be influenced by outside things. And I just thought it would be a great place to raise a family and have free healthcare and, like, you know, paid more taxes. But it's
yeah, but how is the adjustment with healthcare there? How is that?
It's
like,
great.
It is, yeah.
It's great. But I came from that in Canada. So when I went to the US,
Right.
and a lot of American friends get pissed off at me for saying this, but it was like, what the fuck are you guys doing here? Like,
Oh, it's horrible.
it's like, you know, I have to pay almost $2,000 a month for my family in the States to pay a copay, to pay insurance, to pay.
Right. To pay a 10,000 or 8,000 per person copay. Right. Yeah.
Oh, if someone has asthma and they have an inhaler, which would cost $5 somewhere in like Canada or nothing over here, whatever, they're charging like $160, or plus you're paying a copay, plus you're paying an insurance payment. So that was weird to me. And who can afford that? Nobody can afford that. You know, it's
like 30-something% of the people have no insurance here for that reason. I'm surprised it's so low. I would think it'd be more like 60%.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and that's a huge thing. I mean, people are afraid to go to the doctors because they're going to go bankrupt. And
yeah,
they have healthcare like Canada does here, and it's a really good system.
That's cool.
They're backed up. It's hard to see a doctor because of COVID, because everything's fucked.
Yeah.
But it's great. Like, you have an ear infection, I don't have to worry, well, you know, this is going to cost us $1,000 to take the kids to the doctors. No, like, it's cool. So I love that. I'm a fan of healthcare.
That's great. I wonder if I can get dual citizen. So my wife's got, you probably have dual, right?
Yeah, I'm Canadian, UK. My wife is American Canadian. In a couple of years, she can get her citizenship.
She can get her citizenship. Because my wife's got she's from there, but she's got a dual, like, American thing. I wonder if I can get that. And then if I get sick, I can go I can go to England. I mean, I'm serious. I mean, I'm at that age. Thank God I'm healthy, but you know, you start thinking about that shit as you get older. I'm like, holy crap.
I think, yeah, it's important, man.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad it's working out there for you. And I give you a lot of credit, because I think that even though you're passionate about something, loads of people, as you know, loads of people are passionate about something, but doing something and talking about doing something are nothing. They got nothing to do with one another. And very few people actually pull the trigger on big things like that. So, you know, pat on the back to you for making that.
Thank you. I think you just have to do it. If you really want to do something, even if it's, in my whole life, I've kind of felt this, like, go big or go home. Like, even if it's unattainable, I think you can do anything that you want. You just have to start going towards whatever that fucking thing is. Like,
yeah,
you want to go to England? Everyone's like, oh no, that's a big move. It's the same thing. You just start putting your mentality into everything you do. Okay, it's for that purpose. And I did the same for LA, and I try to have that mentality with anything that I do. Funny enough, though, we move here and it's like, yeah, we're moving the record label. I fucking signed the whole deal, the Sony deal, over to the UK and moved the record label. My wife moves over here in December. I got here in October. December, she gets here. Bang, COVID hits. Industry shut down.
Yeah, I know. That's what it's like for everybody. You know, it's funny. I I had Ian Pace on the show, and I don't know where he lives. I think he just lives in London somewhere. No, I don't know. Anyway, I said to him at the end of the interview, I said, hey, you have any last words? And he said, yeah, I'm really pissed off at our government and all these other governments, because this is right before the second wave, whatever that was coming over there. He goes, what the hell are they going to do in the 8th and 9th wave? We got to get out and make money, man. And I agree. People have to work. You can't just, hey, we're shutting you down, no income, and you're on your own. Good luck with that.
Well, it's either support the people while lock them down, and this is, it's a kind of political thing, but lock them down for enough time so you can't get rid of the shit.
Right.
And everyone do the same thing and pay people some money so they can get through. Because, this is my opinion, and I don't know shit, but if you don't lock it down long enough, it's just going to keep coming back, and you're going to end up spending billions more trying to fight it when you could just lock it down in the first place, give everyone a nice chunk of change, make people, don't let them go broke, help them pay their bills, help them to get through, stop the fucking interest rates and the credit card payments for a while, let people get through it. And then when it recovers, you're in a better position and not having to lock down 3 months later again. Because half of these small shops here and mom and pop shops, they're probably never going to open again because you can only get a loan once, and everyone's taking these bounce back loans, but at some point they have to repay them, and they're never going to make enough money to pay that loan payment.
Right.
And some of these restaurant owners I know, they're having to float 80% of their employees' wages during all this shit. And who can do that?
Not a small business. They're getting by on their weekly or monthly cash flow, if that. It's I agree with you there, man. All right, I want to talk. What were some of your challenges early on, actually, as far as once you were behind the glass? Was there any challenges as far as growing your career from that point, or was it just a constant stream of referrals as you did work?
No, like anyone who tells you it's a piece of cake, I think it's always a challenge. I think you always have to reinvent yourself, and it's always going to be hard. You might get streaks where if you have a hit or you have, a bunch of songs that happen to come out, or you're getting some really great productions that are in the public eye, you're going to get a stream of work. But even the best of the best, they go in waves. They have great times and they have shit times, and it's constantly, it's our business. It's not a consistent business, and it's always a mess. So I think that you have to think of ways to reinvent yourself. But no, everything's been a struggle. I've never chosen an easy path. It seems that I always chase the hard things, but I guess maybe the end game is the reward's supposed to be better.
But you got referrals along the way, so it wasn't. So at least you knew you were in the right spot.
Yeah, you'd get referrals, but when I first moved to LA, I was doing okay in Canada, and I was playing with an artist named Nelly Furtado, and we were playing arena tour, really cool things. And then I played with an artist named Edwin in Canada, who was multi-platinum artist, and it was consistent income, but I was always looking for okay, how am I going to be better than just being a session guy? How am I going to be how is this going to be something that I can keep doing all the time? And that was the production, the writing. But when I first moved to LA, it was starting from scratch. I knew some people, but I didn't want to be that guy who's hey man, I'm in town. Can I crash on the couch, and can you give me work?
Yeah.
I wanted to go and build it up myself. So I wasn't that guy who's yo, just hand me some work. I wanted to earn it and work for it. And then you can start, people start seeing what you do, and it's just like anything. That's when the referrals come, and you have some success, and then it's oh yeah, that guy that did that. Well, yeah, let's throw some things his way. And it was a good time too. American Idol is a blessing and a curse. I believe a lot of American Idol had wrecked the system of bands getting record deals, and the grassroots thing of developing a following all of a sudden changed to this TV thing of hey, now you got to be on TV to get a record deal. And it went through that for a long time. So I hated that, but at the same time, I was producing American Idol records and writing on those things, so it was a good thing for me.
Yeah.
So there's always like a silver lining in the end of it, but I think you just got to find a way to be in music some way or another. If it's not working out that way, it's like, you know, fuck, we're gonna be in a band, we're gonna fucking sign a record deal, and I'm gonna go to Hollywood, and we're gonna be famous. And okay, well, that's not gonna happen because the climate is not that thing right now. So, but I don't want to like wash cars, so let's find a way that I can do music. So I did a lot of TV and film stuff and trailers, and you know, some of that.
How'd you get into that? Because that's a great business.
I had a friend, Matt Gerard, who is a producer, very successful producer, and he was from Toronto and was living in LA. And he called me one day. He's like, "Look, I'm super busy. I got these things. I don't know if you want to do them, like, but you can work for a company called Telepictures and do library music. And you know, it's not a ton of money up front, but you can make some great royalties." So what I did is I just hunkered down and I would produce like 10 songs a day of this shitty little cue music. And that's how I supported myself while I was trying to grow my, and you know, those, I still get royalties from that stuff. So it's cool. It's soul sucking though. If you're like, you want to develop acts or you want to be, you know, shredding.
It's soul sucking.
But it's like, you know, but you're doing music.
I gotta write that down. It's soul sucking.
But you're doing music, and it's a wicked learning experience because you have to be so versatile and do so many different. It's like, you know, this could be a tune with horns and it's funky. All of a sudden, then you're doing 7-string metal riffs here for this movie trailer, and oh, CNN needs a cue, and it's got to sound like a Prince song. So it's really good. It's a good place to be when you're honing your craft, and you get really great at, I mean, it helps all of your skills, your editing skills, your guitar chops, your bass playing, like it's just musicality. So I tried to look at it from that, but I'm fucking lucky I get to do music every day. And you know, so that's how it started. Then,
you're a hustler, man. I love that.
And then you start like, you know, I would go out when I first moved to LA and go meet people and go to places and see people play, and then tell them I was a producer and hand them a card. And that's how kind of one thing leads to another and snowballs, and then that person knows out. It's the same as any business, right?
Yeah.
And you start.
That's awesome, man. I love these stories when people start from zero and make something of themselves. It's very inspiring. I'm going to ask you about some of the artists you've worked with. You could talk about how'd you get the gig, and if you have any kind of cool or interesting story about working with them, and also if there's any lessons or takeaways that you got from this scenario.
Yeah.
Start with Steven Tyler.
Steven Tyler is a cool one because it was completely unexpected. So I was doing a lot of work with one of my favorite writers for rock, Desmond Child. And Desmond wrote all the Bon Jovi.
How do you just get to work with Desmond Child? That's not like, he's like one of the top writers in rock.
A good friend of mine made an introduction. We went to lunch, hit it off. You know, we had great, you know, chemistry in the writing and production respect. And so we hit it off. And then, you know, people like Desmond work with so many people. So they like give you a shot. Hey, you know, like I have this thing, let's try it out and see if it works. So,
okay.
So we had started the first thing we did was like, okay, well, I'm developing this artist. Why don't you come and produce it with me, and we'll write it and produce it together. So that's how it started. And then as you're working with someone all the time, they're like, hey, well, I got this other project. And you know, Desmond's the king of shopping songs because like he's one of the biggest songwriters in the world. And he's written all the Aerosmith hits. And like, so one day he had asked me to do a demo of this song, and I get a phone call, like I send in the demo, and I get a phone call. It's like, hey, I got to get you on the phone with Steven Tyler. So I was in LA at the time. He was in Nashville. He's going to sing this song. We got to pick a key. So I'm like, okay. So I get to hear Steven Tyler trying different keys. So Desmond's on the phone with his piano, going through keys for Steven, or raising it and raising it, raising it. And like, oh, fuck, there's that sound. He's like, okay, well, you got 24 hours to get this master turned around for me. So my wife was pregnant at the time. We were like, she
Oh
was
my
having
God.
labor pains, and so I stayed at the studio all night. We did this song, but pretty much I stayed up all night, played every instrument, sent the track. Steven cut the vocal. I waited at the studio for him to mix it, edited the vocals, and there was a song done, and that was it. And so I never, the sad thing is I can say, oh yeah, I produced a track with Steve Tyler. I didn't get to produce his vocal. In a way I did, because I got to edit it and time it and do all the cool things. And I got to, when I imported it into the track I did, it was like, dude, even though it was a country track, it's like, man, it sounds like fucking Aerosmith. This is so cool. I grew up loving Aerosmith. So yeah.
Too.
So that's how that one happened.
Very cool. And how'd you hook up with Smash Mouth originally?
I had known Steve for a while. So I have one of my best friends in the whole world is a writer named Robbie Neville.
Why do I know that?
He had a hit song in the 80s, C'est La Vie.
Yeah, okay. I knew,
So, and Robbie and I and a producer, Matt Gerard, used to work together all the time. And Matt was producing a Smash Mouth album with Robbie way back in the day. And I lived in Santa Monica when they were doing that, few blocks away from where I lived. So I would run into Steve and we would talk. And fast forward a few years later, I get a call from Smash Mouth's management saying, hey, Mike, we want you to work and write some songs with Steve for their new record. Would you be into it? So started writing some tunes. That led to me producing the record. And as we were producing the record, then Steve was like, hey man, you want to join the band? We got some tour dates. And I was like, yeah, fuck that. I love playing live. So yeah. Hell yeah, I'll do it. And that's how that happened.
That's cool, man. What did you do with Elton John?
So I got to play guitar with him, and it was at so he does the AIDS Foundation thing every year. While we were touring with Nelly, we got to play. We got to be Elton's band for his AIDS benefit, Academy Awards thing. And there's some cool things about that. But one of the shots is like Elton and I that made it in InStyle magazine. So I actually do have some
dude, that's cool
things about that. But so I got to play guitar with him. He's always used the same band. So that's one thing that's amazing about him. It's like, it's you're not going to get the gig playing with Elton because those guys have been with him forever. Yeah. But to be able to play with him and share the stage with him and, play a few songs. Soundcheck was pretty cool. Cause I was 23 years old when I played with Elton John.
That's really young.
And it didn't really hit me until we were doing sound check. And I'm like, yeah, can I have some more Elton in my wedge? And I just fucking asked for Elton John in my monitor. Holy shit. Okay. Playing guitar with Elton John. This is check. That's a bucket list.
And not many people have done that, have played guitar with Elton outside of John Jorgensen and Davey Johnston. I don't think that's it. Davey's in his band forever, and then John takes his place when he's not around.
Yeah, I mean it's surreal. It was a cool experience.
That's awesome, man. And Honeymoon Suite, how'd you hook up with Derry and those guys? I was shocked when he said that. He said, "Oh yeah, Mike's in England," and I was just like, what do you, but I guess you know them from Toronto maybe, or from Canada?
Yeah. So I met Johnny way back. I mean, I've been a Honeymoon Suite fan since I've been a little kid. Right. I would go see them. And one of my best friends from Toronto is a drummer named Randy Cook, who's a big session guy, plays with everybody. I had played with them. And there's a point in time where Johnny had gone and done a solo record, and I played guitar for him. So there's a guy named
cool
Honeymoon Suite's keyboard player, Randy Cook, and then Randy referred me to that gig, and that's when I met Johnny way back in Toronto. And then that I didn't really meet Derry back then. So I didn't meet Derry until I moved to Nashville after LA, years later. And Derry had brought his daughter, who is a great singer, over to the house to write a song. And then we started talking about, hey, you know, Johnny knows you. Oh yeah, you should do, you know, we should talk about doing a Honeymoon Suite record. And then I'm like, well, what are you guys doing for a record label? Are you signed? And so we ended up signing him to the record label. And now I've written all the record with them and produced a record. And it's been a great, it's been super fun because Derry's a great guitar player.
Yeah.
And pretty much in the first 45 minutes of any session, just being guitar geeks, while Johnny's like, oh, these fucking guys. But it's not, you know, doing a record with another guitar player is great, especially someone that's, you know, that good and that established, and it's just fun. So we signed him to the label and then started making the record, and we're kind of taking it slow now because of COVID, but
right.
We're really good, and we just had a hit. They had their first 19 years recently.
Yeah. He told me that. We talked about you know what? He told me that he practices every day for like a couple of hours at least. That's amazing. That's pretty amazing that a guy who's been playing that long still and he's like, no, I have to practice. You know, it was like, you know, it's like eating healthy or something like that. This is what I do.
Yeah. I mean, you can tell, I mean, he looks like he's 20 years old still on stage. He's like, he loves it. And he's great too. I filled in for him. Derry had shattered his finger last year, and I filled in playing guitar for them, and it was super fun, man. It's like such a fun band to play with.
That must have been really cool for you, considering you grew up like that. Had to be a what do you call it, moment, like a you know, magic moment or whatever.
Yeah, it's fun. It's like, it's funny how those things happen. Yeah, it's super fun.
Any other gigs that you had that you want to chat about that were cool or just memorable and nostalgic to you?
I mean, there's so many. I mean, everyone has the road stories, but I won't bore you or like scare you with those. But probably one of the coolest experiences was when I was playing with Nelly Furtado. We got to tour with U2, and so we were the opening.
Holy crap!
For U2, and we did a few dates with them. And Bono and the Edge would stand like less than 4 feet beside me on the nights that we play, watching the entire show, and they were super nice. And like, it was just, that was a surreal thing because YouTube was like so iconic then, and just being, you know, having them walk on the stage, go, hey man, how was sound check? How's it sound for you? Hey, if you guys want to come on the plane to the next show with us, you like, where am I? How did this happen?
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So
and they're a classy band. I mean, they treat crew amazingly, and they treat their opening acts amazingly, and they're Bono and is super nice, and
that's really cool. You and your wife put this record company together, Mercia Records, with distribution through Sony / The Orchard. So questions, what prompted you to set that up? What are the biggest challenges about growing a label? And just to educate me, what does it mean that you distribute through Sony / The Orchard?
So challenges. There's a ton of challenges being an indie label. One of the biggest challenges is finances. I mean, to sign and develop acts, as you know, costs a lot of money. And that money has to come from somewhere, and it's not, you know, definitely can't come out of my pocket. But so you have to source investment, you have to source help, and then, you know, some of the acts that we're signing to the label, I have to invest my time into making some of those records if I'm producing them. So that's the biggest struggle, and nurturing those bands and marketing and those things. So things that you don't normally think about as a session guy or a songwriter. It's not like, now you're in this position, like, okay, now I have to put this out into the world. So that's where Sony comes in. And so we had a meeting with Sony, and the Orchard is owned by Sony. So the Orchard distributes the music. So what they do is they put records in, it's like, you know, 100 and something, might even be 200 and something territories globally.
Okay.
And they put it in all the outlets. So our deal is a physical deal, so we can actually still sell albums if there's any stores that you could stock them. And we do digitals, but they put it out to way more, like, you know, CD Baby and all those things. They're great for indie artists, but if you're going to be at the major level, you want to get out to as many DSPs, and they handle all of our labels accounting. So essentially we're a Sony label with our own, you know, we have the power of them as far as where we can put the music, and we can have access to all of their marketing capabilities. But we get to be a small boutique label and run our own show and decide, hey, you know, we can sign this band if we want. We don't have to answer to Sony corporate. They're not going to tell us we can't sign this or we can't do this record. And that's where we get to be the indie label and do whatever the fuck we want. But we get to play like we're the big boys because we have the distribution. And that's, so now, I mean, the record label's been active about a year in the UK now. So now we're just starting to get in the zone, but we're also offering distribution deals. So, you know, if there's artists that have great followings and they want to get their music out rather than just putting it on a couple DSPs, you know, hey, here's my music on Spotify or Apple iTunes, we can put it out everywhere. So we're giving record labels distribution deals through us. We're giving, you know, artists that have followings and, you know, sizable, I guess we're the, you know, artists that can't do it by themselves. We can help them. We can provide label services. That's one kind of avenue. But we also have the record companies where we're looking for new talent and signing new talent and developing that. So I guess there's different degrees of that. We have the record label that's like, okay, we're going to sign things that are ready to be on the label. We have the distribution where we can give to labels or artists where they can be their own label. And then we have like my production as like, you know, I can help develop artists and produce them and get them ready for part two. Like, okay, maybe you're not ready, but I can make your record sound like $1 million. So let's make a really great record and then we can distribute it and get you to the point. Because some artists are just unbelievably amazing, but they don't have the social numbers and they don't have the means to get out there. And it's really hard to get out there without having a record that sounds great. And the whole end of the day, it's songs and if you're connecting. So that's where we can help them in those areas and development. Because not a lot of labels anymore do artist development. And that's something that I really want to focus on and look for, that nurturing talent thing. And the thing that was like existent when they made really great records. Whereas they would, you know, give them like the space to be creative rather than to say, here's the mold you're going to fit in.
Let me ask you a question. First of all, it's amazing how much stuff you have to get. I mean, your time is your greatest limiting factor there in a sense, because this is a very time intensive thing, especially when it comes to developing the bands, as you mentioned.
Yeah, I like to focus on that. So I have two other people I brought into the label. So my main partner is Michael Cruz, he's in our satellite, like Nashville office. So he pretty much handles all the label management on the US side. So he does all our upstreaming to Sony, client-based things. He's my go-to guy and I trust him 100%. So, and then we just brought a guy on, Darius Franklin, here in the UK that's going to be working with me and nurturing all the UK talent. So there's really just, 3 or 4 of us doing everything. And then we have in-house teams. Like, so we have a radio team that's kind of in-house, but outsourced to our partners. So we have a radio team here. We have a radio team in Canada. We have access to Sony's radio teams. We have marketing. We have Spotify playlist teams. We have public relations and PR teams that we use. So we're a full service record label that has access to all these things. So if you were a record label and wanted to put out a record with us, you would be able to access all of the stuff that you can get through Sony.
Will Sony put out anything that you want? Like if you go to them and say, hey, we want you to put this out, or do they have some evaluation system that they go through? I just mean as far as the music.
Typically they would, but I think they trust me enough and trust us enough to know, okay, that, we're going to be putting out great records. So Sony knock on wood, but they've never rejected a record, and they've been amazing at giving us the freedom to be as creative as we want and sign who we want, and they and do whatever deals we want to do, and they'll distribute it for us. So that's been awesome.
I guess at the same time, you've got skin in the game. You're not going to be signing bands all day, because unless they're worth your time, you're not going to, you've got to have some faith in them, and that you have a vision for what they could accomplish. So I guess that makes sense. How much do you?
Yeah, and obviously, and everybody, I would love to, but that's why we have a distribution section. So if it's something that's amazing and doing well on its own, we could bring it on and just sign it as a distributed act and let them have access to our capabilities that way. And I can focus on acts that I want to sign and develop and produce, because I still want to produce records.
Yeah, when you bring somebody on board, how much do you? You don't have to answer this question if you don't want, Mike. But the reality is, you got to look at social media numbers, because you have a choice. This band comes to you and they've got 100,000 followers, and this band comes to you and you like them better, but they have 1,000 followers. Man, it's really hard to take these guys. I hate to say this, but it is. How much of that do you have to do? Because it's just and I think it's a reality for everybody in every business.
I think every label kind of struggles with the same thing. It's like, okay, this band's unbelievable, but they have no footprint. Right. So that's a high risk. Or this band is, has a bazillion followers and they're real engaged followers, not bot. What do we do? I want to be the guy, like the old school ones, like, okay, that guy might have 500 followers, but I see that being massively huge.
Right.
The producer side of me goes, I really want to work that. Obviously, the music business side is like, is that a smart deal? It cost you, X amount of money to get this. So that's why we have this, different division thing. But no, if I see something I'm passionate about, I don't really talk about the followers.
Good for you.
Because you could build that. It's hard.
It's really hard. I know. I've run a marketing company 22 years. Believe me, it's work. It's not like, and people, well, you just put out something viral, like what that's going to be ahead of time. I mean, what does that mean? Something with a cat? I mean, what does it mean, right?
No, you never know, and you never know when something's going to hit. Like I used to work for this record label called Stereo Fame, and I was an A&R person, and I signed an artist named J Dash, who I produced the record, and he's an urban artist. We had no idea what would happen with him. The investment wasn't a huge investment that my partner invested into him. And one of his songs it was called WAP. It became like a #2 urban smash in the US.
Wow.
And it was they paid Flo Rida to appear in the video, some flat fee. He made up a dance, and the song was great. But as soon as it hit, I mean, Miley Cyrus did her first twerk in a unicorn thing. Ryan Seacrest tweeted about Miley doing the twerk in the unicorn. And next thing you know, we went from nothing to a platinum record in no time off a song. So,
holy
like,
smokes.
you know, man, and he's released other songs that haven't done anything. So you just never, like, sometimes you can think, oh, this is going to do this. We put this money. People throw millions of dollars away on marketing and promotion, and record labels, they struggle.
Yeah.
They send people out on radio tours all the time, and just, it's still about connection, I think.
Well, man, I hope Mercia takes off, because I know how hard you work and what you're putting into this. So best. If somebody, I don't know if this is an open window or not, if somebody listening wants to connect with you about potentially working with their band, is that something you want to put out there or not? Either way.
For sure. Yeah, for sure, man.
What
we're not
like them to do.
We don't accept unsolicited material. Like, I don't give a shit if it's you or your lawyer, or like, if there's music out there and you want to get it to us, just hit it through our website, and we're going to listen to it. It might take some time for us to get back to you. And if it's not what we're looking for, we probably don't have time to write, any rejection letters.
Sorry, that's not what we're looking for. Yeah.
Yeah. And I hate those things too, because, look at how many amazing bands have been rejected by labels, and it's not, it might not be that I don't think they're worthy. It just might be like, I couldn't, it might not be a record that we're able to fund, or might not fit what we're able to do at the moment. So, but we're open to everything and anything in all genres. There's not, you don't have to be hip hop or rock or metal. It could be anything. We're trying to be a diverse label. And
great. So it's Mercia Records, MER. Is that the website, merciarecords.com?
merciarecords.co.uk.
Okay.
And it's not Murica, because so many people have gotten a hold of me and go, yo, you got that Murica Records? You were the Murica? What's Mercia?
So it's Mercia, MERCIA records.co.uk. The only thing I would suggest if you're listening is to don't do this on a whim. Do this because you really believe that you're working with something. And, he's got Mike's a hardworking guy, and he's obviously got a hardworking team. So if you're not willing to put as much skin in the game as they are, it's probably not a fit, is all I'll say. Is that appropriate? Was that? Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah. So if you're not serious, don't expect somebody else to be serious. Yeah. What was your childhood like growing up in Toronto?
Cold. No.
But I'm here all week.
My mother is my best friend. I still talk to my mom almost every day.
She's still over there?
Yeah, she was born in Manchester, but she lives in Toronto now. Yeah. Yeah, my childhood, like at all childhoods, it was a bit traumatic and it's put some hair on my chest for sure. But, my father passed away really young. He was 28 years old, and I was like 18 months old, something like that. And my mom remarried to my stepdad now, who they're divorced, but he's an awesome dude. And I have 3 sisters, and it's a lot of extended family.
Let me ask you this: if you're comfortable,
then, hockey.
Everybody in Canada has to play hockey, it seems like, right?
You have to. We had a rink in our backyard. My dad would do a rink in our backyard all the time.
What, if you're comfortable answering this, losing your dad at such a young age, how do you think that altered your perspective of things as an adult, if it did at all?
I think even though, I was young enough that I don't remember it happening, there's still a sad emptiness there that's there. Like, I don't know if it's like, you having that communication with your mother who's still around, but I think subconsciously, you just know. And I think my life would have turned out completely different if he hadn't passed away. So who knows what that would have been like. But I think it can lead to so many, like so many different events in your life, like psychologically. Who knows? Like, I'm very close with my mom, but who knows what losing a father could have done. I mean, I had a father, though. I had a really great dad who came in as my stepdad, and
right.
But it's still, you still feel it, and you still, like, I still think about it, and it probably makes me a bit of a hypochondriac too, because he died of cancer at 28, and like,
oh jeez,
like this all the time. Oh, I got a fucking lump. Oh, Jesus Christ! Like, and it makes you worry a lot, and you think about family, and you think about, holy shit, man! Like at any moment, he was diagnosed in August and died in September, so it's like really fucking quick.
Fuck. Wow.
So I think from that perspective, it has given me some probably anxiety over the years of like,
sure. Well, especially now that you're a dad.
Yeah. Life insurance. Better get that life insurance.
Wow. Thanks for answering that, man. I appreciate that. I could see all of those things very reasonably happening. Do you still do a lot of licensing, or do you, or when you can, or I know you're so busy?
Like when you, like licensing music for TV and film?
Putting like placements. Yeah.
Yeah, I still do that. I probably not as much as I should be doing, because that stuff is like always residual income. You know, I think we just had a Smash Mouth license request recently, and Robbie Neville and I wrote a commercial a few years ago. It's now like a rotating Denny's commercial in like South America. So
Oh, that's so cool.
there's always like shit coming in. But yeah, I've hundreds of songs that are out there and licensing things. But I would like our label to, basically, we're in the process of building a licensing division.
Yeah.
So, and funny enough, we were just talking about this yesterday, is that we want to start having that relationship with the film and TV supervisors, so we could start servicing them, our clients, because our client roster is growing. I think we have 15 distributed artists now on the label, and then we have like,
congratulations. That's great, man. In a year, that's really good.
Yeah, it's getting there, and a shit time for music too. So
right.
But yeah, the idea is to build it to basically a bigger, not just a record label, but a multimedia company.
Right on, man. That's awesome. I'd love to have you back in like 5 years and like.
Yeah.
No, that'll be really cool, because I know something's gonna happen, because you're that kind of guy. You're not gonna just like wait. You're gonna make something happen. You know, it's not gonna happen overnight, but yeah, it'd be cool, man.
Yeah, we'll schedule it up.
20. Hey, I hope I'll be around. I'll tell you that much. Tell me, like, you know, we all pay tuition in our careers, and maybe you could be kind enough to share one or two mistakes that you made along the way and what you learned from them, say earlier in your career.
Man, I made a shitload of mistakes. I think everybody does, especially when you get into the business young. Like, you know, you drink and you party and you do those things, and you might fuck up relationships, or you know, sometimes you're young and cocky and you think you know everything. And I think the biggest advice I can give someone is just listen to people who have been doing it forever. And even though the climate's changing, I think people say things to help you out so you don't make the same mistakes. But I mean, yeah, I mean, there's so many of those kind of things. It could be as simple as like, you know, playing that chicken wing bar and you're ripping your Marshall loud and you get fired for, you know, and you're like, fuck them, I'll do what I want. But I think the lesson is like, you know, well, accommodate your surroundings. And I could have done things a lot different when I was younger and probably had 10 times the work that I have now if I would have done things a little bit different, or, you know, not partied as much, or like, you know, I think, but everyone has to go through that and everyone has to learn. And that's how you build yourself as an artist too.
Yeah. It's funny. I think I remember talking to Derry about this, and he said none of those, as we said, none of those guys, if I remember correctly, partied at all. Derry Graham said that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, when I say party, I mean, I probably party at a Honeymoon Suite level. I mean, but I've seen them like have a few drinks and have a good time, but no, they're just
excess. They didn't party to excess, he said.
No, they and that's probably why they've been around for 30 some odd years and still able to do shows and make records. But the opposite happens. I mean, you see bands out there that can't even.
Yeah, I know. That's more the norm, especially for back when, you know, you're in the 80s, you know, where
and they're amazing, but you know, I don't know. I think there's no rules to that. So, I mean, music is so subjective, and it's about the art. And someone who could be a complete fucked up nutcase might connect to somebody. And for me, I would rather put my head on straighter, younger. And I never did shit. Like, I never did drugs or anything like that. Never did. Never smoked dope. Never did blow. And like all, you know, I'd be on tour buses, people getting fucked up. Like, it wasn't me. I would drink and have fun and
right.
But I was always the guy who's like, okay, well, I'm going to get up early and I'm going to go grab a coffee and walk around and see this city, because I didn't want to miss anything.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. So
like,
you probably
guy that at sound check would show up, like I'd get on the crew bus and go with the crew to sound check when they load in at 8 a.m, just so I could play my guitar all fucking day, because it was cool. and it's still, that never gets old. Like if I'm on a tour and I'm playing an arena, I want to play in that empty arena before anyone's in there, because it's just like, there's nothing better than standing there going, wow, this is like, I get to do this for a job.
Let me ask you a question about that. I've watched a ton of videos with you, man. You're a very skilled player. Did you study? You're welcome. Did you study formally, or is this like, how did you get that good, I guess? Besides time, I know it was time.
I mean, yeah, you have to put in your million hours of working at it and learning from people. I don't know. I did study. I studied in a weird way. I studied where I would learn something, but I never learned it the way it was being taught. You know what I mean? I'd always take it and make it my own somehow.
Okay.
So a lot of guys are like, they'll take something and they'll learn it properly. And I don't know if it's just something with my fucked up brain, but I would always take what I needed to take from that skill wise, or, what I liked about it, and find a way to, how can I make that me, so I'm not cloning that. And I don't know if it's maybe because I couldn't do it as good as that guy, or subconsciously, but it's just kind of how my process was. And I always wanted to find a way to, like, okay, I like that. Maybe 100% of that's not like what I would do. So I want to take what I love about that and come up with my own kind of flair on it.
But who taught you like basic theory stuff? How to improvise within a solo, how to improvise in chord changes or something.
You're gonna laugh, but dude, I went to guitar lessons, and my mom sent me, like, I wanted to do it so bad, so she'd send me to the guitar lessons and be the like Royal Conservatory method, and I'd be like, this guy sucks. I want to play band. And I'm like, a little lamb. I would start buying those REH videos, those guitar videos. Steve Morris and Steve Lukather and Paul Gilbert and like all my heroes. I would buy those videos, which were extremely good back then.
Yeah.
Like,
well, that was our YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And every guy had a thing that was really good. And it wasn't just about, hey, watch me play this lick. It's like, some of those videos were like, let me explain why this works. And like, there was some discipline out, and that kind of teaching worked for me best. Like,
okay. Yeah.
So I learned a lot from that, and I was mostly a self-taught person, even though I took some lessons. It would be a lesson here, a lesson there, a lesson from this jazz guy because I want to learn some about that, or I also worked in a music store when I was young. So I was around and taught guitar. So I was around all these other teachers, and we would all like learn from one another. So I got to learn from 10 different teachers, different things, which was cool.
Wow, you must have put thousands and thousands of hours in, man. That's amazing that I would have thought in watching you play that, you went to GIT or something like that. You're
I wanted to, but I had a baby at like 18. So I have
oh my God. Wow. I like you more and more. The more you keep talking, the more I like you, man.
I'm like, I'm going to go move to California at like 16 years old. No, didn't happen. But yeah. I have lots of friends that went to GIT. They're fucking phenomenal. And
well, you play like that, man. I'll be honest with you. When I watched, that's why I thought, I said, oh, this guy studied at GIT, because it's like you're very precise. You're confident. There's a certain, as a hobbyist player, and there's a certain thing that professionals have when they pick up the guitar, and I watch them, and I marvel. You're so familiar with this instrument. I can't explain.
Yeah, seemingly, because like every day I'm like, I think all of us do it. Even the best of the best still see that one guy and go, motherfucker. Like,
yeah.
How does he fucking do that? And I do it all the time. And Darian and I talk about this all the time. He's like, we'll like geek out and text each other. Hey, did you see this thing? Did you see this? Oh man. Like, I'm still like, every day I'm still learning. Like I'm like 13 years old. I still watch YouTube videos of guys and like go, okay, I'll archive them and go, okay, I got to check that out.
Right.
And I'm probably more of a guitar fan now than I was even growing up, because I have access to a lot more things.
Yeah.
But sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
And I was just gonna say, it's just like, yeah, I kind of go in waves too, where it's like, you know, that feeling when you're a kid and you get your first guitar and you open it up and it has a smell and you're like, or you play.
Smell is like a new car, that new guitar smell.
You know what I mean? But it triggers those memories. Well, I have a love-hate relationship with my guitar playing sometimes, where I'll go be super inspired and then, you know, maybe not so inspired right now, and then another wave will come. And so I'm in one of those upswings right now where I'm like, just like the beginning of COVID, I didn't want to touch a guitar. Didn't want to do shit. Now I'm just like, okay, I want to make a record now. I want to do some shit. So we have our band that we put together and we're like, now we're going to make some fucking records and I'm going to play some guitar solos.
Right on, man. I know you know this already, but everybody goes through that. Every player I've had on the show has that arc all the time. You know, it is exactly like you said. It's a good time. Let's talk about gear for a few minutes. What's your go-to guitar right now, and what other two would round out your top three?
Okay, so about 2 years ago, I left Ibanez, which is a great company, and I didn't leave them for any other reason except that I came across a guy named Kevin Proctor in a company called Iconic Guitars, and he builds these unbelievable guitars. And
where is he out of?
He's in California.
Why do all those companies, Iconic, Exotic, they all sound the same? You know that?
It's like it's the Guitar Player Club or something,
I guess.
But yeah, and they're similar kind of style, but he builds hand-built guitars that are unbelievable. So when I started talking to Kevin, I was explaining some of my frustrations in previous endorsements, and you know, a lot of endorsements, and I'm not saying this is not centering anyone out, they give you what they want you to play. It's like, or they'll give you the cheaper model of what you want, or, you know, unless you're Steve Vai, you're like, you know, some of those massive players, Slash, like you're not gonna, you just, I mean, it's like, you can't compete with that level. But Iconic was a kind of new and growing company, and Kevin and I hit it off really well, and we talked about building a signature Strat, and that was the thing. I was like, okay, this is going to be my first real signature guitar that's built custom for me, and it just happens to be a guitar that's unbelievably badass. So they brought a guitar over for me to try out, and there was no pressure. It wasn't like, you know, hey, you know, we're going to give you this and you sign here. It was like, if you like it, let us know, and we'll talk about a relationship. So obviously I fucking pulled it out of the case. I'm like, holy shit, this is awesome. We started talking, and then another guitar had come, and it was a model called the 62S, which is basically a 62 Strat, a heavy relic.
I've seen those. They're nice. You have
this one was the second.
Oh, nice, man.
And
are they his own pickups too?
He does his own pickups. I'm endorsed by EMG now.
Okay.
All my guitars are now outfitted with EMGs. But yeah, this was the second one that came. Is this video being? Is this interview being on YouTube or anything?
Yeah, it's of course. Yeah, yeah.
So can I grab it and show you?
Yeah, man, do it. Do whatever you like. Yeah, those are cool looking guitars. What pickups do you have there? Because I have a set of EMGs in my Les Paul. It's called, I think, like Fat 55. They sound like PAFs. They're awesome. What do you?
I got a Fat 55 in my Telly, and
do you like that?
Out of it, I fucking love it.
Yeah, isn't it amazing? It's like when I put them on, I told what's his name, Rob. I said, man, it's like the tone all of a sudden the knob goes to 20. You know, it's like everything was just so much more robust. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, Tommy at EMG sent me over a Fat 55 for one of my Tellys. I can show you that one too. And I fell in love with it. But I've never been an active guy. I've always been passive. So
same here.
That's a retroactive set. So I like that they're voiced like passive pickups, but they're dead quiet. So in the studio, it's amazing. This is
that's wild.
My model that I got the design. And of course I put the Union Jack on it.
That's so funny. That's great.
Reverse headstock.
And if it's an HSS.
HSS. This originally was 3 singles, but they were. I used to be with DiMarzio's, so there were 3 single stacked DiMarzio's.
Okay.
And then when I went to EMG, they sent me this Rev pickup and 2 S1s with this. So this was the first set of pickups I got from them, and these are passive, and I was blown away. I was like, oh fuck.
What does that humbucker sound like? Because I need to get one for that Strat there, and it's an HSS as well.
You know, I'd be lying if I said it sounded like it's got its own thing. It's got really nice mids and like killer clean bottom, and the highs are like not piercing, but they have like, they're a smooth pickup that just sounds perfect. It's like a flat response pickup. It's just like every sound that your guitar should have comes out of this thing.
And it's called a Rev?
R-E-V? The Rev, yeah.
Okay.
R-E-V. And you can get them, like this one's like a brushed chrome, but I think they make them in every configuration with the pole pieces and everything. And like I said, these are passive. And then these are S1s, which I think are, I mean, they're quiet. So they're like a hum canceling,
like noiseless.
Single. Yeah. But they're very stratty in character. And these pickups sound unbelievable. Lots of guys are using these. It's really great guitar player. I like Jordan Ziff. He plays with Rat, but he's a killer player. He's the first guy I saw playing with this pickup here, and I think he has S1. And then Prashant
Swanee.
I
had him on the show here.
Yeah. They're great. I love them. And then so the other Strat. The one with the singles that has 2 of the same neck and middle, those are S1s. But then it has this has an S4, which is a little hotter stacked humbucker-ish. So this is really cool. What else?
Have you ever tried their Gilmore? I'm so tempted to get the Gilmore pre-wired, but I don't. Like, I like all the pickups on my Strat, so I don't, but have you ever tried that?
I haven't tried them, but I could tell you S1s are, I mean, I love them so much that I have them in a few guitars.
All right, I'm going to look into them. I'm going to look into that exact same set, the Rev with the 2 S1s. That's cool.
That's if you want passive. And if you want active.
No. I have just the one active. I don't want any more. It's just one more thing you got to pay attention to.
S1s, man, that's where I love them, because with a Strat you don't want to lose the character of the Strat. If you still want to sound Strat, but with a little kick, and that's what it is to me. It's like it doesn't change what the guitar is, but they're just a really great sounding pickup. And EMG's like, as the metal company, but I mean, Bruno Mars plays EMG. Prince played EMG pickups. Like Dave Gilmour played.
He's EMG. A genius. That guy. Rob Turner's a genius, man. He does everything. Like, he's a perfectionist and he knows what he's doing. So those S1s.
I love them.
I'm sorry, we're getting, I think, cross bleed. Sorry about that.
Oh, no worries.
So when you're in position 2 and position 4, you still get the waka waka Strat sound. Okay,
like that,
cool.
Yeah, chimey thing, and yeah, totally.
Okay, cool. Totally. I'm going to look at those. Thank you.
Even when I have the humbucker in the bridge, it still has that, the second one up, it still has that cool, weirdy, stratty thing going on. It's awesome.
Okay, cool. So
highly recommend.
Thank you. So the Iconic's your number 1 guitar right now. Seems.
Yeah, I don't play them exclusively, and I have a bunch of them, and we're in talks about maybe doing a 7-string in the new year.
Oh, cool.
So try to do a custom 7-string, but I play their Tellys. I have some, a ton of different models of Iconics, and basses too. I use their basses.
What is that guitar in the case? It looks like Eric Clapton's guitar, Blackie.
That Blackie. So I've had that since I've been 16. That's a Hendrix Voodoo Strat from the early 90s. So it's American Hendrix Strat. But yeah, and I've had that thing forever. It's just the reverse headstock, basically, Strat, with the pickups are like they were like kind of.
And I know
the other one just all telly.
And you play mostly through Laney's, that Laney like you got right there?
Yeah, so the ones I was using on the last tour I did were the GHR series, but I like the old GHs too. I pretty much have every Laney that's in the product line, but I'm endorsed by Laney, yeah.
Very cool. And they're over there in England, aren't they?
They're in the Midlands. That thing's a beast.
What is that?
That's so Tony Iommi in the 60s had the super group. That's a reissue of the super group called the Super Mod. So the only difference is that it has a master volume, and it is one fucking loud amp and so sounding. But basically, it's like a vintage super group in a new shell. So there's nothing fancy about it. There's no like effects loop or anything like that. But that thing kicks some ass.
Do they make smaller amps as well? 15 or 30 watt?
Yep, totally.
That's cool.
They have their new Cub series for like low wattage amps that are kind of cool. They have the Lionheart series, which is great. Like it depends on what you're going for, because they're known, and again, they're known as primarily like metal amps, but
right.
they're really diverse. Some of their amps are like bluesy John Mayer blues chimey, and they're not like super distorted. Some of them, I mean, that amp, that Super Mod, is a clean amp. Like you have to drive the crap out of that to get that. It's like a plexi. So there's lots of, and I think they originally were like a PA. So
okay,
it's the plexi. But low wattage amps, they have a ton of them. But Lionheart series is really great for that.
Lionheart. Do you remember the first record you bought?
I should. That I actually paid my own money for.
Yeah, or it might have been a cassette, because you're a bit younger than me.
Yeah, so my mom was a music lover, and she used to make these mixtapes for me, like cool. Beatles songs and like cool songs. And she was a rocker. But the first albums that I bought would have been like when I was in 6th grade. So that would have been like Def Leppard, Hysteria, and Guns N' Roses' Appetite for Destruction. But then, I remember like buying like Van Halen records and Iron Maiden, but I was also into disco and funk too.
That's unusual.
So I was like, my mom listened to everything. So I think I inherited that from my mom's like taste of music all over the place.
I'm sure your mom will listen to this interview. She's got to be happy, because you've mentioned her like a bunch of times. Not too many people do that. That's kind of cool, I think.
I'll send it to her.
Yeah. Give me your top 3 Desert Island discs.
Fuck, man.
Just for now, because it's. I know.
Let's go. Michael Jackson, Thriller.
Right.
Mr. Big, Lean Into It.
This is the pressure's on here on the third one now, man.
Oh man, it would probably have to be a Beatles record.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I don't know. That's top 3, man. Oh man, that's impossible for me.
I know it's impossible for everybody. Yeah. Funny story. The first time I was hanging out with my wife, I was like, I know, I'll put some Beatles on, because she's from England. I put the Beatles on, and she goes, "What the fuck is this?"
You hated it?
She's like into disco. It's like, oh well, so much for my musical prowess with her. Hey, tell me your favorite English food since you've been over there, man. Favorite UK food?
Oh, gotta be fish and chips for English food.
And tell me the American food you miss the most.
Chick-fil-A.
Really?
I don't really miss it. I don't because I mean it's all over here. So yeah, I can't say
Chick-fil-A is
that
in
I miss
England.
it.
They have Chick-fil-A in England.
I haven't seen up here. They don't.
Oh no, I don't think they do, man. I don't think they do. What do you do for coffee there, man?
They have Tim Hortons.
Oh, that's
but
cool.
there's a lot of local coffee shops, you know, and I always miss Tim Hortons when I lived in the U.S. So like it was a Canadian thing. They have one in Manchester, and I drive sometimes 20 minutes to go get a Tim Hortons. But my wife and I are actually opening a coffee shop because we're coffee obsessed.
Because you don't have enough to do.
Well, this is going to be her passion project. I'm just going to come in there and drink the shit.
Oh God.
Yeah, we're opening a little coffee shop, a little artist-friendly coffee shop, and
where is it going to be?
It's in a place called Honley, which is about 15 minutes from where the town.
Man, if you're in Honley, look forward to what is it going to be called?
It's called Juniper Lane. Is what? Yeah.
Juniper Lane Coffee Shop. When's it opening?
There'll be a wine bar there too, and like a little farm market in it. And it should be. We're hoping cool. Because of COVID right now, so we're hoping for maybe takeaway to be up by Christmas. Might be after that, and then the new year we'll start opening like the wine bar and the rest of it. And it's cool. It's gonna have a cool vibe. There's like we had this artist do some like silhouette paintings of like famous rock stars and stuff. So it's gonna be cool.
That's cool, man. So look for Juniper Lane if you're in. What's the name of the town? I'm sorry.
Honley, Honley.
If you're near Honley, do you know John Billings by any chance? He's a bass player in Nashville.
No, I don't know.
He owns a wine bar there. That's some reason I ask you.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Juniper Lane. That's cool, man. Very cool. Get good American coffee in Honley. Tell me the best decision you ever made.
Best decision I ever made, I think, was moving from Canada.
Yeah, good for you, man.
I think those probably, you know, career-wise. I mean, I've made other decisions that probably kept me out of a lot of trouble, but yeah, I think like leaving Canada when I did, I think it's what kickstarted what I'm able to do now, I think.
Awesome. What makes you happy?
Music, family, sometimes just peace and quiet. Old 40s jazz records, seeing other people happy, sex.
You know, you're the first guy that answered that honestly. You know, I mean, I haven't had 800 males on this show, but it's, you know, the percentage of men in music, especially guitars, is infinitely greater than women. So that's the skew in my show. You're the first person that answered that.
Yeah.
Good for you. Like I said, I'm liking, just keep talking. I'm liking you more and more, man. Let me tell you. My wife said to me, I mean, my wife said to me about something like she was just saying, you're always wanting sex. And I said, it's from COVID. She goes, you haven't had COVID 28 years. That's how long we've been together. So right on. I'm right there with you, man. That's great. Tell me what you like most about yourself. That is awesome. Best answer ever. What do you like most about yourself, Mike?
Oh, fuck, man. That's such a weird question. I have no idea. I don't know. God, I don't know. My kids. That's what I like.
No, man. You got to give it a second, man. What do you like most about yourself? You're a smart dude. You come up with an answer.
I think maybe that I just tell you straight. I think that, like, I just say it how it is. I don't like sugarcoat anything. I think not enough people are I think so many people that I know, like they put on this facade of like someone that they're not, and I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, I'm like that. I think as I've gotten older, I've learned to realize that, because I used to judge people harshly for that, but I realized a lot of people are just not comfortable sharing what's in their head for whatever reason, or they're afraid of being judged or something like that. You know, that used to frustrate the shit out of me. Like, why don't you just fucking say it? You know, like don't piss on my back and tell me it's raining. You know, but I don't know. So I totally get that. But as I'm getting older, I'm trying to be more empathetic. And
well, that's true. I mean, I think I'm doing that same thing. It's like you think, and especially after you have kids, you start to think of things a little bit differently.
Totally.
I mean, we're like such a flawed species. Like,
humans
fucking suck.
Yeah,
we everything.
I know. That's why I watch pet videos. It makes me feel good. I've never watched I've never watched a cat video or a dog rescue and been angry outside of angry at the asshole that abandoned the dog. But you know what I'm saying? I'm like, well, that's a nice feeling. So that's what I watch.
Or babies. Like, it's like, what happens to us? It's like at some point in our life, there's like a filter that comes on and makes like, you have to be this way. You know what I mean? It's like when you see animals, they're just what they are.
Yeah. That's such a good question, man. That's a great question. I don't know the answer. I think about that a lot myself. I don't understand it, because what's the downside of, well, maybe someone doesn't like your answer, or maybe someone doesn't like you. That's okay. You know? Yeah,
we always say, like, I guess we always want to mold for people to like us and be accepted. I mean,
a lot of people do, yeah. You, not so much. Me, not so much.
I'm guilty. Yeah.
I'm the same way, so I get it 100%. You have any non-musical superpowers?
Non-musical superpowers? No, I wish I had some. I wish I had a single superpower. X-ray vision would be amazing.
Not so for a guy who loves sex. You imagine if you had X-ray vision, you walking around all day. You can do that. It'd be like torture, man. Yeah, tell me. Yeah.
No non-powers.
Do you have any hobbies outside of music? I don't know how would you have time? You get so much involved.
Yeah, no, well, since we moved here, the whole thing was about taking more time and like being outside and hiking and walking. And yeah, hobbies, I'm obsessed with castles. So
cool.
We always, pre-COVID, well, even COVID when it got relaxed, our thing is every week take the kids to something historic because they love it. That's awesome. We'll go to Europe, we'll go to a castle. Like, we've been to more castles than most people who live in England, because it's just so beautiful here, and just there's so much history that you can see, and I love that stuff. Like, that's if I wasn't doing music, I'd probably be like archaeologist or, you know, into that kind of historic or ancient artifact thing. But totally, I even thought about taking a course, like just more.
That's cool, man.
More stuff. So that's like our thing. Our thing is like, go check out castles, go check out ruins. There's so much like Roman history here too, and that's every week we try to do that stuff.
That's awesome.
The other hobbies, I've been doing martial arts with the kids. So the kids like have just signed up for martial arts, so I go with them and we do it like family style, which is it's cool. Yeah, it's fun. I haven't done that shit since I've been a kid, so it's like makes me feel good. And I really feel like I should be doing fucking yoga every day, because my wife does it like twice a day, and every day I'm like, oh, I'll do that tomorrow, and I sit on my fat ass in the studio going, oh.
Well, let me tell you about the thing with the kids. That's gonna, when your kids get older, because I just see this now because my kids are older now. Almost anything that, I don't know, my older son sent me something today. He goes, oh, I saw this song. He goes, I have so many good memories of us listening to that on Christmas. So all this stuff that you're doing, going to the castles, you'll be amazed in 15, 20 years, probably 25 even. your kids will be like, man, remember we went to that and you may not even remember, but but when they say that to you, it makes you feel like $1 million. It's like, oh, I did a good job. You know, I did something fun for them.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Like, yeah, when I was a kid, my dad was like, you know, he was like a super dad. Like, we had a cottage and we'd go up to the cottage and go snowmobiling and go water skiing. And he did all these things. And I haven't really done those things with my kids because we don't have a cottage and we don't have a boat and we don't have all that cool shit. But I'm trying to do something with them. And my wife could probably take most of the credit for this, but she's always organizing something that we're involving them in that they wouldn't normally get to see. So,
you know, I had the same thing when my kids were little. When you're an entrepreneur, man, it's a 24/7 hustle. You know, it's not easy. So I get it, man. It's good you have someone that pulls you away, because I did the same thing. I would have worked nonstop.
Oh yeah, that's my one guilt that I work too much sometimes, and I really need to like go fuck. I need to step away and just be a family guy sometimes.
I do that now, but I'm 57. I only started doing it like the last 2 years. So believe me, I struggle with that a lot. You know, it's just the way it is. 2 more questions, man. And this has been cool. So thank you very much. Tell me toughest decision you've had to make, or most difficult thing you've had to do.
There's been a couple. I mean, I don't think there's been a single toughest. I mean, but getting divorced is a pretty tough one. Mm-hmm. Going through a divorce, leaving bad relationships, whether they're friends or, you know, someone that you're with. Those are probably life's hardest decisions. And I've had to make some tough decisions, like stop working with people that are friends of mine that are very close in business too, that, you know, it's not a good business fit, but, you know, you want to, and sometimes that can affect the friendship.
Yeah.
Toughest decision I ever made, man. Okay, I know it. So a few years ago, I was having these, you know, lymph node issues, whereas all my lymph nodes were like swollen all over my body. And I was like, I'd gone to the ENT that did a lymph node biopsy, and basically had told me that I was going to have to get the rest of my lymph nodes removed and tested because he believed that I had the same cancer that my father had.
Holy shit.
And I was going through a shitty financial time. It was a really bad time in music. And I was selling a grand piano that I loved. And, you know, I was like, fuck, I don't want to sell this piano. I don't want to sell this piano. Like, I'm like, okay, fuck it. It's just a piano. I'll buy another one day. And while I was selling this piano, this couple came over, or the wife of this couple. And somehow we got talking, and she ended up buying the piano. But we got talking, and I found out that she was the head cancer researcher at Vanderbilt Hospital in Nashville.
Holy crap.
And I came out and just blurted out, like, can I show you my biology report, my pathology report on this? I'm really scared. You know, my father died of cancer. I got a new baby. Like, you know, I want to tell me if I'm okay.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't getting honest. And this doctor just wanted to, you know, do all these surgeries and probably buy his fucking kid a Porsche that week. And if I didn't sell my piano, I was scheduled to have surgery to have all the lymph nodes in my neck removed and tested that Friday. So it was like a fucking couple days before. And if I didn't meet her and sell, she was able to get me. She's like, don't go for that surgery, whatever you do. And do we freeze? Oh yeah, don't go for that surgery, whatever you do. Let me get you in the Vanderbilt system, and I'm going to introduce you to one of the best cancer doctors, and I'm going to get you in with her, and we're going to figure out what you have before you do this. And this guy was pressuring me, like, you could die if this progresses, blah blah blah. And sure enough, I got in and I did 6 months of like, cancer tests, and I didn't have cancer. And I didn't have anything close to that. And I had some undiagnosed, immune thing that my lymph nodes get hard and then they go away and no one's been able to figure it out. But I didn't have cancer and I wasn't fucking dying. And I thought I was dying. I would drive past a grave, burst out going, oh my God, I'm going to be my dad.
Yeah.
This decision I think I ever made might have been to sell that piano.
Sell that piano.
Or that fucking doctor's appointment, because I'm almost convinced that guy would have diagnosed me with cancer and I probably wouldn't have been here right now.
Holy shit, man. That's a story.
Yeah.
Wow.
Fucking crazy.
Isn't
and the day that they didn't have cancer, I kissed the ground, man. I was like, fuck, man.
Let me ask you this. So this thing happened to you. What is your thoughts on like why things happen? Or like, do you believe there's an almighty or whatever your version of that is, or serendipity, or like, how do you look at stuff like that when it happens?
I think I'm like constantly searching for something, but I'm not like, I'm not like a religious dude. I'm spiritual.
Yeah.
I have like tattoos and shit. But I think I believe in like an energy. I believe things are supposed to happen. I do believe that shit. I believe that, they're probably soulmates for people. I believe that there's past life stuff. I believe this stuff. I don't subscribe, and people are going to strike me down with this, but I'm not like the Jesus Christ follower and the ark was built and one person got on that. And
I'm the same. Yeah. I get, I'm sorry, man. I'm just saying I'm exactly the same.
Whatever it is, we all worship the same thing probably. And, whatever Allah is, whatever Jesus Christ is, whatever, Hindi gods have, yeah. I think it's all the same thing. It's just interpreted to these different people. And, people start wars over fucking religion when it's probably all the same shit that we just have branded it into a different light. And so I want to believe there's something. I wouldn't say I'm an atheist. I'm skeptical, and I'm searching, I guess. As I get older, I'm searching more and more like what's real. I don't want to believe that when you're dead, like that's it.
Yeah.
Maybe it is. Who knows? But I don't think so. I think there's too many things in life that are like signs or something, or that they're supposed to happen in that way.
Like that meeting with that woman. That's what I'm saying. That's, I hear things like that, and I've had things like that in my own life that just blow me away. Like, how the hell did this happen? What is the light? I mean, it just can't be, for me, pure serendipity alone. It's got to be some higher power. I mean, that's how I feel. I'm not religious at all either. But yeah.
Well, here's another one. This is another one. So another thing, crazy moment. So I was out with a bunch of friends at a restaurant in LA, and we were all like, hey, let's go out tonight. Let's go to this bar. Let's go. And at first I was like, yeah, let's go. And then I started having this feeling, let's not do that. I don't think it's a good idea. And my buddies were like, why, man? Let's fucking go out. Let's have a good time. It's just a weird feeling. I have a weird feeling. Well, that night, that bar that they wanted to go to, there was a shooting and 3 people were killed there. So the next morning, we all called each other going, holy fuck, did you fuck? Like,
so did they go anyway?
No, we all didn't go.
Nobody
we all ended up hanging out.
Dude, you might have saved all their lives for all you know.
Who knows, man? But yeah, the next morning we were all like going, holy shit. Like someone came in and shot up the place.
Wow.
We could have been sitting right there together, but we ended up I think what I said is like, well, let's just go back to the studio and just, chill.
Wow. It's good that
I normally we had nothing else to do. Like, why not? Let's have a good night.
But that's the same intuition though that's guided you in music, that has served you. So, usually when you follow your intuition, usually it works out. Wow, what a story, man. And last question. I feel like I need to ask you all these questions that I didn't ask, because you have such good answers, and I really appreciate that you're so thoughtful in your when you answered these, like you really thought about them, and I really appreciate you doing that, you know, because it was very sincere. So thanks.
Actually, you know, admittedly, I didn't do any homework about any questions or anything. So I
whatever you did, it worked. Biggest change in your personality over the last 10 years, and how much of that has been deliberate and how much is just a natural part of aging?
biggest change. I think I'm a lot more easygoing and a lot less uptight than I was probably 10 years ago. And just like settling down too, like, you know, I think it's good to just slow down sometimes, and I never used to think that was good. And when I say slow down, I don't mean like stop working or stop doing anything, but just like take time and enjoy the things in life, because you only get one of them. And before my father passed away, he actually recorded a video that later my stepdad put on VHS for me. It was really nice of him, but he went around to all these nature things like trees and hills, and it was at my grandparents' cottage. So all these like beautiful things. And, you know, he was young, he was 28. And he told my mom, don't let him, one, ever forget me, and don't let him take things for granted and appreciate these beautiful things. So he made a video of just beautiful things.
Wow.
So, until recently, I kind of like, you know, you just think everything's going to go forever. Like, you know, I lost my manager, who was one of my best friends a couple of years ago. It was devastating to me. I lost one of my best friends. Both died pretty quickly. My manager died very suddenly. And you just go, holy fuck. Like, no, you know, there's so much out there. And that's one of the reasons we moved here too. It's like, there's so many things I want to do and see, and want to be close to Europe, and I want to travel, and I want to experience life. And I don't want to be one of those guys that sits in their house all the time and just is comfortable. Like, I have all these friends in music, and it's like everything's about, oh, the deadline and the studio, and it's like, but who fucking cares? In the end, yeah, we all have that. Like, you know, we all want those, and we want Grammys, and we want like, but is that everything? I think that like humans have lost touch a lot with nature and those things. So all those things I took for granted forever, now I'm starting to go, fuck, look at the fucking sunrise. It's like, we live at this place and it's like 7 acres of hills, and the sun comes up in this valley, and it's like, it looks like a picture. And now I probably wouldn't even notice that 10 years ago. And now I'm like, whoa, I'll just have a coffee or tea and like just go, Jesus, like this is gorgeous. So yeah, I've lost kind of track about the question, but I think that slowing down is important a bit.
Dude, you are awesome. You have kept this shit so real. I can't thank you enough. You're a great guy, man. Honestly, I love talking to people like you. Thank you very much, man. Let me tell people where they could find you. First of all, Mike Krompass, KROMPASS.com. If you are interested, he's got a bunch of, we didn't really talk a lot about his guitar playing, but he's a mad guitar player, and his production is great. If you want to connect with Mike, if you go on there and you take a look and you like what you see, if you want to connect with Mike for tracks, production, mix engineering, and in fact, I think you mentioned doing a lot of engineering now.
Yeah, like yeah, because of COVID, you know, that we're not having as many artists at the studio, and a lot of our overseas or like bigger clients are paused, and travel's paused. So I've been doing a lot more just people's mixes. You know, there's so many like great bedroom producers or artists that are great track guys or producers, but they're not fabulous mixers. And so if they want their track to sound massive and fucking huge, and if they want to send me a mix to do, you know, I can work out some mix rates for them and send them some, you know, big ass mixes. Awesome.
So there's an email contact on there, and also you could find him on Mercia Records. It's merciarecords.co. I sound like I'm back in New York. Mercia Records. merciarecords.co.uk, correct? Because I wrote it wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. mike.k.co.uk, or it's Mike Krompass with a K.com. So if you want to work with Mike in any of those capacities, mix engineer, just be thorough in your correspondence, send him some files that he can listen to make sure it's a match. And, if you want to let him know what prompted you to reach out to him, I heard you do this, or I saw this and I liked what I heard, whatever. Just, just give him details is what I'm saying. Also, you could find him on Facebook at Mike K. I forgot. I wrote Mike K. Personal. That can't be right.
Mike K. I believe is my Facebook page.
Mike K. Music, or you can find him on Instagram, which is where he's at a lot, under Mike K. Hits, HITZ. Dead Romantic. Talk about that on Mercia Records. Imagine that.
Yeah, Dead Romantic. So I started a band a couple years ago with one of my favorite bass players and a fantastic guy named Billy Sheehan, and it was called The Fell. And we had a lot of heat going on, and we had some singer drama where we went through a couple singers. So we kind of paused the project, and then when I came over here, it was something that was kind of put on hold. So I thought, okay, there's so many great songs with this stuff. We don't want to let it go. Like, I love the band, I love the project, but Billy's in 10 billion other bands, and we're all doing records. I don't know how he does it, man. He's in Sons of Apollo, Mr. Big, fucking everybody, So I'm like, well, I want to continue this, but we're going to have to rebrand it. We're going to have to do something new. So I've partnered up with a singer here, and we've started writing some tunes. And we put out a song, but it's super poppy. It's not going to be that direction. The new stuff that we're working on is fucking heavy. It's heavy, and it's got shred solos and all the things I love about music in it now. So we'll be keeping some of the original tunes that have Billy Sheehan on them, and some of those songs that are like kind of some of our favorites that we didn't release, and repackaging it in this new project that's really, I'm super excited about. It's probably it is the most favorite thing that I've done. And EMG TV, I just sent them a video today of some little sneak peeks of some solos and stuff from it. So there'll be some posts coming out over the next little while as we trickle something out, and maybe a single in January or February.
Very cool.
And then a record soon after. And I know some of the Fell fans are like, yeah, when's this record ever going to come out? It's never going to come out. It's going to come out. It's just going to be called Dead Romantic, and it's going to be the same shit or even cooler.
Are you looking? Are you getting a new bass? Like, are all your new band members going to be in the UK? I'm assuming.
It's funny because most of the record, even though like Billy was in the band, and most of the record I was doing on my own by myself, and then Billy would come into play. So I guess we'll just take it as it comes. The band is going to have definitely a refresh approach on it, and the demographic is leaning a bit younger. The new singer is younger. It's killer. It's going to be a lot more rock than it was this project. So for sure he'll be on the record, and we'll see what happens around like tour time and when release time it is. But I mean, the core of the project is the singer and I, and kind of as it builds, and we'll see what happens.
Awesome. And you can check out, it's Dead Romantic, and you can check that out. I'm assuming Mike's going to put posts on that on Instagram when things come out. Again, it's Mike K.
Yeah.
HITZ on Instagram. And also you can find Dead Romantic stuff once it's there on Mercia Records, MERCIA records.co.uk. Dude, is there anything else you want to promote? Can I pitch any more Mike Krompass stuff, man?
No, man, we should do another one of these where we actually like geek out about gear and stuff. Like,
that's totally cool.
I can maybe do like a studio tour or something. I'll show you some of the.
That's what I was thinking, actually. Yeah, studio tour. That'd be cool. And you got enough of it, so. Hey, listen, man. Thank you for everything. I really appreciate it. Thanks for being so real and keeping it, honest, and be really thoughtful. And I wish you the best of luck over in England with your family and everything else going on. So, hang on one second. Any final words of wisdom before we?
No, just keep going, man. It's the shittiest time ever right now, but it's probably a great creative time for just keep going and hang in there. It's like super depressing, but it'll ride it out.
Absolutely.
Ride it out. Don't stop.
Don't stop. Hang on one second. Let me wrap this up, and thanks a lot, Mike. Everybody, thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this, please share it on your social media channels. We appreciate your support. Thanks very much to Mike Krompass for giving us all his time and being such a cool guy and keeping shit real. Again, Mike Krompass, KROMPASS.com. If you're interested in working with him in tracks, production, or having him do he's doing a lot of mix engineering. There's a contact on his webpage, or you could find a contact on Mercia, MERCIA records.co.uk. He's on social media, Mike K Hits, HITZ on Instagram, and Mike K Music on Facebook. And look for the new Dead Romantic record. Most important, man, remember that happiness is a choice, so choose wisely. Be nice, go play your guitar, and have fun. Till next time, peace and love, everybody. I am out. Thank you so much, brother.